So no, I had a lot of coaches, but the meetings were really short because I was like, are you financially independent? Are you, or do you need my money to pay your bills? And just shoot me straight, because I don't have all day, because there was a lot of fancy like gurus,
Yeah.
right? And like I said, there's a lot of smart, talented, broke people, and I met a bunch of them. And so I was just like, I want someone that's financially independent. Like, they've been free, they work because they want to, not because they have to. And then literally just through divine timing and introductions, I got introduced to my coach. I worked with him for 4.5 years. And, he was in his 70s. I'm like, you're financially free? He's like, yep, have been since I was 42.
It's time for the Tina Ramsey Show. It's time to share, shine, and grow.
Anybody that knows Tina, she's all about visibility, she's all about connection, and she's all about helping people create a source of income through monetization. And so again, Tina is just really good at what she does. If you've not connected with Tina, if you've seen her show or heard her podcast and you're thinking about connecting with her, I highly, highly, highly recommend it. As a result of my connections with Tina, she has helped me with recruitment of speakers for my upcoming event. She's also helped me to recruit several authors for a few of the book projects that I have had the opportunity to produce in this past year. And in all, Tina's just a really great person, that she's genuine in helping entrepreneurs in reaching their goals. So again, if you have not connected with Tina, be sure that you do. The Tina Ramsey Show is definitely a great venue for you to connect with other entrepreneurs, to connect with other individuals that are going to be interested in your service or your project. This is Tiffany Bell. Again, you are watching and listening to the Tina Ramsey Show, and I look forward to being able to connect with you.
And just like that, hello, everybody. I am Dr. Tina J. Ramsey, the host of the Tina Ramsey Show and podcast, powered by CTR Media Network. And our show is all about motivating you, sharing tips and strategies to help you grow as an entrepreneur. So we speak with 6 to 8 figure earners in order to help you thrive. And today, welcoming in season 8 of our show, you know that we had to bring the best of the best. And where did we want to help you after we listened to everything and been in all these different events and groups and everything? We hear the same thing that is unanimous, no matter what business you're in. How do you manage your finances? The lack of financial literacy. So today we have the amazing Chris Felton. He is an Amazon best-selling author. He is also a 7-figure entrepreneur, and he owns a financial service firm, which he started, get this people, in 1999. So he knows what he's talking about. Chris even leads and trains 200 agents across the United States, and he had also helped over 17,000 clients, as he is one of the top 100% status in a company with over 60,000 agents. He's been featured in some of the best publications out, such as US Today, or US News, I should say, and World Report, Yahoo Finance, and the list goes on and on. He's not only an author, but he's also a speaker. He speaks on stages with as much as 100 and goes all the way up to 20,000 people. So I know you cannot wait to hear from him today. Just as I am, I cannot wait to have this conversation with the amazing Chris Felton. Welcome to the show.
Tina, looking forward to this. Thanks for having me.
Listen, I am so happy that you came on the show to give us some of your time, because this topic of financial literacy And in today, with everything shifting and changing from the traditional entrepreneurship, I would say, arena to more digital money, digital spaces, and everything is changing so much. So when I think about that, you had the opportunity, or you have the opportunity to lead so many agents. First of all, what made you decide to go into the financial industry?
I wanted to learn how money worked, and in my house, we didn't talk about money, religion, and sex. Okay, and right, and my parents argued over money, fought over money, stressed over money, divorced over money. 60% of divorces are tied back to financial stress. My mom died at 64, colon cancer, worked her whole life, saved 10 grand. My dad made it to 88 miraculously and died broke. And so I inherited brokenness, right? I inherited that mindset, and, was smart enough to become a CPA and a financial advisor, but I couldn't make money work. So it just had just pervaded my family, is pervasive for generations. And I wanted to do something about it and figure it out.
The fact that you came from a family that did not speak, and most families, to be honest with you, when you go back to generations before ours and behind, those was not table talk conversation, especially adding in children. They felt like that was adult conversation. So when you mention finances, sex, and religion, in some cases that is true. But in your case, to find out that you got interested in money and you went on to be in a branch of the financial arena, but yet you still lack the to balance it. So what made you get that aha moment? Because it's a moment where we all get this moment of clarity, this moment of, okay, now what is really going on? Here I am doing this, that, and the third, but I'm still not reaching what I will call success. So what was that moment for you?
Yeah, I'd just gone through a divorce, and my kids were, 3 years old and 1 month old. I'm in Colorado. They moved to Atlanta with their mom. Very expensive. I signed a 6,000 square foot office lease I couldn't afford. We're entering the Great Recession. I'm paying my ex-wife $5,200 at the beginning of every month. Yeah, exactly. That's the my wife had on her face, because she walked into a marriage of someone that was getting a lot of trophies and a lot of recognition, and I could talk a great game, but I wasn't living it. And so, giving the full story, basically I came clean one day about it's a mess, and I handed the financial reins over to my wife, who her background was as a hairstylist and a radio advertising salesperson. And we couldn't get it. I just didn't wake up, right? We'd sit down and have a financial conversation. It usually ended in a fight. One of my quotes is optimism and delusion sleep in the same bed together. Right? Like, everyone's like, oh, think positive, be optimistic. But we as humans have to really avoid trying to be delusional about our results. And so I wasn't getting it. She was stressed out. Fast forward 9 months later, we had to sell our house. We're in a rented home, and I had to pay my ex-wife $5,200 the next day, Tina, and out of money. I was using credit card checks. Once again, we're $250,000 in credit card debt because of me. So I came home, and we're still married, by the way. And I walk up to my wife, and I'm like, Marlo, she had money separate of me because she knew not to commingle money with a broke dude, right? And I said, I got to pay tomorrow. I don't have it. You have it. So I asked my wife for the money to pay my ex-wife. I don't know if that's ever happened in the history of mankind. But I turned around and then she threw her purse at me. What kind of woman throws her purse, Tina? A very pissed off woman. Anyway, so we really had the fight of our lives, and I just said, why are we still married if it's so bad? And so she went upstairs to figure that out for the rest of the night. And there I was, and this was the aha, so I had to give you a little background before I actually got to it. And there I was, and all I could see were like literally dominoes falling in my life of my ex-wife. And I realized in that moment, she never had a chance because I expected it to fail. And we don't get what we hope for, we get what we expect. And one of the reasons why people are broke is because they hope to be wealthy, but they expect to be broke. I expected marriages to fail because that's what I witnessed with my dad. I couldn't see my kids because I was too broke. I was drinking a ton. The financial stress was impacting my wife. And then I realized, what's the common denominator to this mess? Me. And I realized right then and there, I had to wake up. I had to quit living in hopium, which is where everybody lives, right? Hoping things change while we do nothing different. I call that rearranging the furniture on the deck of the Titanic. Doesn't really matter what you do. But right then and there, Tina, this was the beginning, and it was like I had to take 100% responsibility for the crap show that was my life.
Thanks to her, my podcast.
We got it. Reaching 350 million. They tuning in.
CTR Media Network is now accepting new podcasters to join our growing network that's reaching 350 million global listeners. Have you heard? CTR Media Network offers podcast production, podcast training, distribution, and product placement. Book us for your next event or schedule an interview with CTR Media Network podcasters today. To learn more, go to ctrmedianetwork.com.
And that was the beginning. I created the mess. It wasn't my wife's fault. It wasn't my ex-wife's fault. It wasn't the Great Recession. Some people are still talking about COVID. It's just all this. It wasn't like I could no longer be a stinking victim. I had to step up.
Wow. I'm glad that you took us through that journey, because now we have a whole picture, and I know that so many people are going to be able to relate to that. But to hear you take full responsibility of the outworking of your life, per se, to know that you had a great job that should have provided you financial stability. But again, this proves that you can have the right job. You can have the income that comes along associated with that job. But if you don't understand just finances and how to balance and structure everything, you still gonna be, like you said, in that mentality, you hoping, but you see no results. You expect the same results. And so the fact when your wife, which is still your wife, threw her bag at you, like, wait a minute, you want me to spend $5,200 for something that I didn't have anything to do with, because you have all these trophies and all this recognition, but you don't even have your stuff together. And the fact that she kept her money separate, that was something. So moving forward, when you went from that moment and you looked at yourself and you was like, okay, this is not my ex-wife, this is not my current wife, this is me. What was the first thing that you said you had to do in order to break that barrier, break that chain perhaps, of what is Chris gonna do now to change, just because you're not the victim anymore? So how are you gonna get yourself out of being that victim?
Yeah. So the next day we came together and she's like, I'm keeping you. I had to think about it. Right. there was 15. Yeah. Oh yeah. You would love her. Yeah. She'd be a great guest too. 15, there's 15 positives and 14 negatives. So like you barely made it, but she's just like, hey, we're not getting divorced. We're not declaring bankruptcy. We're not going to get jobs. We're going to figure our business out. And so she's like, we did have access to wealthy mentors. And she said, I'm I'm going to get on planes, trains, and automobiles. I'm going to interview them. I'm going to figure out what they think, what they do. Our first book, Couples Money, came from those interviews. And then she would come back and say, hey, they do this, they think this. And then she was kind of like, what are you going to do, jackass? And I'm like, I am all in on figuring out how my mindset is creating a mess. And I told her, I'm like, I'm not interested in changing. I'm committed. And she's like, what does that mean? I'm like, most people are interested in having a successful life. And the problem is when you're only interested, you'll hit some resistance, you'll hit some limiting beliefs, some garbage, you'll hit your past, and then you'll do what most people do, is they'll take a little chicken exit and they'll keep searching, Tina, under this false belief that they can get something for nothing. And I'm like, I'm committed. And she's like, what do you mean? I'm like, you know how an Olympic athlete is with their sport? That's me. I'm all in. She's like, what are you going to do? I'm like, my ass is going to be up every morning, 4:30. I'm going to journal, visualize. I'm going to get every book on mindset around money mentality, because I knew what to do, but I wasn't doing it, right? Most people know what to do, but they don't do it. Most people know how to become healthy. You could interview them. How do you become healthy? They could give you a long list, but they don't do it. So the difference between what we know to do and what we actually do is our mindset and our limiting beliefs. And so I just said, I'm all in. And, I'd stand on my head for a freaking hour if it was going to change my life. And so I just developed a routine in the morning. I call it going to the mental gym, where, I have, whether it's 30 minutes, an hour, whatever, some days it's longer, uninterrupted time of working on me and working on my beliefs and my BS. And then putting that time aside and then executing my plan, whether I was ready or not. And so it didn't happen overnight, but it happened over time. So those small compounding things, there's a lot that her and I did together, but it was working on me and being all in on changing me. And really it's, I say it all the time, my guys roll their eyes. It's 100% mindset. It's 100% mentality. And so that's what I did.
I mean, when I'm thinking about everything that you just said, the fact that she saw something in you and she said, well, I'm not going to give up, but we're going to figure this out. Then she executed a plan saying, hey, I'm going to interview these people to figure out what they're doing, what's in their mind. Then you said, hey, I am going to change myself within, because you was at that point, you were sick and tired of being sick and tired. You dropped all the excuses and you start working on yourself. And I know it sounds cliche-ish, because most people be like, okay, well, what is the secret to success, to 7 figures or 6 figures or 8 figures? And you guys, you heard what Chris said. Everyone that I have ever spoken with, from 6 to 8 figures, they say the exact same thing. It's changing the mind and changing your routine and developing good habits. So I heard you, once you drop saying I'm the victim, you actually start implementing structure. You set boundaries, start working on yourself, and you're being very transparent with yourself, saying, okay, I see myself for who I am and what I'm doing and what I'm not doing, and this is what I'm going to do. And so you said it took time. So I want everyone to understand that it's not going to always be something that's overnight, but it can be something that you work on over time. And so what would that look like for a person? Is it certain things that you had to work on first? Did you start with the financial part, working on that, or did you just start with personal development first, with changing your mindset, and then worked into financial development?
Well, no, it was all dialed into money mindset. And there's a great, it's funny, we could do a whole show on what happens when you actually make a decision, right? Mm-hmm. And when I was like, I'm all in my book, I call it the line in the sand moment, where I turn to my wife and I'm like, we will never be back here again. I always get emotional when I think about that, because we will never be back here again. And feel it in your gut. So much power behind making a decision, right? And when I told her that, and I didn't waffle, there wasn't stammering and hemming and hawing in my voice. It was convicted. Like, Tina, you probably know when someone's going to go crush it, right? Like, you can feel it, right? They're so convicted. And right when I did that, I found a Billy Graham quote, and it was, once you get your attitude straight around money, it'll help straighten out every area of your life. Wow. And that's what happened to me. And so, no, I focused on money mindset. I focused on money mentality, and I hired a coach that was financially independent. Everybody wanted to coach me, but they were as broke as I was. And, you know, and I learned that if you're not living the results, I'm probably not going to listen to you. So I hired a coach. He'd been financially independent for 42 years. And I was looking for, you know, strategery, right? Because I'm a CPA. Oh, it's all in some spreadsheet, some magical strategy. And he taught me it's in the mindset. So what I did first, Tina, is he said, and I recommend everybody do this. Get a journal, sit your butt down, write the word money at the top of the page, and then write down everything you make up about that word. And so I did that for an hour. And here's how it sounded. This is what I made up about the word, because we're storytellers, right? Mm-hmm. Hard. Most broke people have some hard story. Hard to make, hard to keep. That was my mom, that was my dad. Money won't make you happy, right? Camels through eyes of needles and all that stuff. So much junk. Misinterpretation of the Bible. Money's the second most mentioned topic in the Bible. You know, rich people in heaven, you know, all that source of all this garbage crap. Society villainizes it. Can't take it with you. Rich people are crooks. That's what my dad told me. Dad said rich people make money on the backs of poor people. So I actually have it in my book. I laid out all my crap, and I'm like, I finally met the enemy, and it is I. And then I wrote a more empowering story. That was the first step. Right? Money makes good people better and bad people worse. I'm a good person, right? Money is a scorecard of value that I create, right? So if I'm helping more people, I'm making more money. Making and saving big money is easy. And my all-time favorite affirmation: I attract success, abundance, and peace into my life because that is who I am. So anyway, that was the first start, is, okay, if I can shift my money story slowly but surely over time through imaging, visualization, personal development, affirmations, flooding my mindset with stuff that's going to shift me at an unconscious level, eventually I can change my life.
That's true. That is absolutely true. And I heard in the world of coaches, mentorship, digital advertisement, and currency, the list goes on and on. I heard something that was very, very unique, what you just said. Well, it's not unique, but I felt like it's something that we need to tap into. When you said that you decided that you was confident, you was rest assured, you knew that you was going to change your life, and you told your wife, we will not be here anymore, period, right? And then you seeked out help. Most people, when they know they don't know something, they go and try to look it up, find the information on their own. But you decided to find someone that had a proven track record of results. And so what I find today, in some cases, some things that, I don't know, from a personal standpoint, this is me being Tina, not Dr. Tina, me being Tina, some things that really make me upset sometimes is that we do have some exceptional coaches out there, but we're so flooded with the fake stuff that I call them fantasy coaches. They look like they doing all the stuff, and then you opt in and you don't see the results that you desire. But the fact that you did your research and you hired someone to help you that had a track record of 40 plus years. Many people don't do the research. They just go by whatever they see on social media or whatever like that. So what made you say, hey, I'm gonna make sure I have the right person, and then you change your mindset and you push forward? Because I see now you're talking about money mindset, you talked about marriage, and you also talked about how you was not gonna be the victim. So was that important for you to find the right coach, and how did you shuffle through all the mess that we can find on social media now and everywhere for people to really find what they need to receive the results that they desire?
Yeah, I mean, for me, it starts with some prayers, right? And God guide me, right? Like, your will, not mine, right? And I also felt there was a bigger purpose behind me having to go through this, right? Like, and it was a conversation that right? Event plus response equals outcome, right? So the event was total train wreck financially, but my response was going to determine what was going to happen with my outcome, right? And so no, I had a lot of coaches, but the meetings were really short because I was like, are you financially independent? Do you need my money to pay your bills? And just shoot me straight, because I don't have all day. Because there was a lot of fancy like gurus,
Yeah.
right? And like I said, there's a lot of smart, talented, broke people, and I met a bunch of them. And so I was just like, I want someone that's financially independent. Like, they've been free, they work because they want to, not because they have to. And then literally just through divine timing and introductions, I got introduced to my coach. I worked with him for 4.5 years. And, and he was in his 70s. I'm like, you're financially free? He's like, yep, have been since I was 42.
Wow.
Right?
Wow.
And once you go, there was no him and hawing. I didn't need to go look at his tax returns. Like, he just was like super clear. He's like, nope. Yep. Got the money thing figured out. I'm like, you're my guy. Right? Yeah. So they got to be living the results. If they don't want to talk about the results with you, and I've been blessed, I have self-made billionaires that have coached me, and some pretty famous people that are super, super, super famous now. They're all over social media, that are multi-gajillionaires and all that. But I've had those coaches, and so for me, it's always about, are you living the result? When I speak on stages, I don't brag about what we've done. I just am like, hey, I have the results, so you can listen to what I'm saying. So anyway, I think I answered your question, but yeah, that was it.
Yeah, you did. You actually did, because it's really hard nowadays to kind of, like I said, to kind of get through all the chatter, all the noise with so many gurus. Nowadays, everyone is an expert, so to speak, on everything up under the sun. And so one thing that I see that a lot of entrepreneurs fall prey to is they will find them before they find the person who is truly who they need in their life. But that's the one thing that I have always known for me in my life. If I ever needed some type of help on something, I prayed about it. And you said you prayed about it, and then you found the right person, and you was very direct. This is what I'm looking for. And so I feel like as entrepreneurs, when we are looking for that coach or that mentor that we need to help us, whatever it is, you need to be direct. Let them know what you're looking for, and they can let you know whatever it is, if they can do that or not. And so when I think about your background growing up with not having financial understanding, divorce and then remarried, then you coming into the place of financial independence for yourself, and it started with you. As a person, I see that you actually help mentor or you have so many different clients. So for an entrepreneur that now you know how to manage, now you know the finances, now you change your mindset, how do you take that in the arena with what you already learned from your past and who you have become now and shift it and bring it into the marketplace, or to help other people who are ready to execute. They're like you. They're like, okay, I'm tired of this. I'm ready to be done. I want to have this financial independence. So how do you help your people? Because you have a very impressive speaking on stages, small and large. So what is one thing that you do to help someone who have that kind of situation? Where do we start at first? I know our mindset, but is there anything else that we need to do?
Well, you got to get clear on what you're aiming for, and this is like one of the most beat up topics of personal growth and development. Like, it's just, everyone's like, gotta know your why. What you clear, and all that. I mean, all the gurus say it, right? And I have been fortunate that I would be in some crazy rooms with successful people that are, making 15, 20, 25 million a year. And they'd all stand up to you and they'd be like, you gotta know what you want. You gotta be clear, right? And I'd be sitting there with my notebook, like, taking my notes, all that, right? And that's good, right? And then I'd walk out of the conference, and then a squirrel would run by me, and I'd be like, oh wait, I need to go catch that squirrel. And then once I catch that squirrel, then I'll sit my butt down and think. And thinking is the hardest work on the planet, especially with, these weapons of mass distraction that we have in our lives, right? And so, without getting into the whole story, I had finally gotten it. This guy that came into my business 6 years after me, but he was 10 times the size of my business. He said, from the time I've come in here, I know what I want, I know why I want it, and I can explain it to you in under a minute. And y'all don't know. So you're all looking for the how-tos of things. So me and my wife sat down and we set a unifying couples goal. If you're single, you can do this by yourself. But most couples don't talk to each other about what they want. And so the ruination of all relationships is a gap in expectations, right? And that was my first marriage. And so we sat down and I'm like, what do we want? We're not moving. And she's like, we're $250,000 in debt, right? She's like, I want $100,000 in the bank. And I was like, oh. Like, that was like Mount Everest. And my coach, this was his idea. He's like, don't try to pull out a spreadsheet. Don't try to map it out. Sit there for an hour and talk about why you want it, why it matters. And I'm like, why is that important to you? She's like, the physical stress around finances is physically impacting me. I can't sleep. It's no good. Right? She's like, I want to feel, right? And then Tina, identifying the feeling that you're going after. Everything we want to get out of life, we want to get a feeling. Right? Everything we do, we want to get a feeling out of it. And I'm like, I want to see my kids. Like, they don't even know who the freak I am. Like, that's ridiculous. I think, right? So all your whys normally tie back to people. Stuff's probably not going to move the dial. All tied back to people. And we spent a lot of time there talking about why. And the analogy I always give is, I'm in Colorado. You can go from Denver to Aspen. It's about 4 hours, 3 hours. You could have a Ferrari, but if there's no gas in that tank, that car's not going anywhere. So you could have the greatest vehicle on the planet, but if that thing's not fueled up with your reasons why, the car ain't going anywhere. And so we got clear on what we wanted, $100,000. We got clear on why we wanted it. And then we were unified as a couple, and if you're single, you'd be unified internally around it. And if anybody asked me what I was aiming for, I'm like, this is what we want. This is what we want. This is why we want it. This is what we want. This is why we want it. Super freaking clear. And then we put a plan in place, right? We put a game plan. And we wanted to get there in, I can't remember, it was about 2 years, whatever. But we mapped that thing out to what we had to do every single week, strategies, tactics, and processes. And then we had a weekly check-in meeting. Did we move closer or further away? And what that did, Tina, is that changed because I was the dumbass spender, right? And you couldn't get me to spend $1 on any crap that was not going to get us closer to that goal. I was so all in and committed to that goal. If I did, it would have felt like I was cheating on my wife. Right? Like, that's how freaking committed we were in. So anyway, we blew past that, and then it became 7 figures and multiples and all those things. But we still do it. What do we want? Financial independence. What does it look like, right? How do you define it? And then dialing it in, and then weekly accountability, and executing your plan whether you're ready or not.
When you say that, executing your plan whether you're ready or not, because as entrepreneurs, many times they want perfection, even though it's not humanly possible, and so they lack, or they do not push forward, execute, because I don't have this yet. I don't completely understand that yet. And it never gets done or never gets completed. So the fact of the matter, when you said execute it and go ahead and move through despite that is paramount, because a lot of entrepreneurs can be procrastinators. So as you grow, as you scale, because I know you and your wife is having these weekly meetings, these accountability, you're really watching everything that you're spending, because you're determined, you have you're clear, you have that clarity, and you understand your why. So did that push you into writing your money mindset books and your Think and Grow You and all the different things? Because you wrote something that was really unique on LinkedIn. It made me chuckle a little bit, but it's so true. And I want us to tap into this a little bit. Why are there so many smart, talented people who are broke? What made you even, because LinkedIn is a very professional place, and you just said, let me tell you something. It's a lot of smart, talented people that's broke. What made you even go there?
Well, I mean, we're best in a position to serve the person we once were, right? Mm-hmm. So, it wasn't that I was dumb, right? I mean, CPA, I worked for the largest accounting firm in the world. I was telling Fortune 500 companies how to manage their finance departments. I never got below an 8 in an accounting course. I passed the CPA exam on one crack. I'm not an idiot. Why am I broke? It's mind-boggling that we can live in the richest country on the planet and 90% of people retire basically broke. It's nuts. So I wrote that article because everyone's, busy. They got their weapons of mass distraction, right? They're just running around, living in hopium. And so I just want to kind of wake people up to sit down and just be like, what are my financial results? Right? And am I living the results that I want? And so no, I'm super passionate about helping people get out of their own way, and experience financial freedom, because it's not about the money, right? It's once again, it's the Billy Graham quote. Once you get your attitude straight around money, it helps straighten out every area of your life. If you're experiencing lack, shoot, we can do a whole show on forgiveness. Yeah, right? I mean, my coach is like, you got to forgive your ex-wife or you're going to be broke. You'll never let your money in if you don't forgive your ex-wife. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's like, you have so much resentment towards her. I mean, holy crap, that has been a miracle. Just what's going on with her and I. And my kids are 23 and 20 now, and they're thriving, and just, all these things. But God put the books on my heart, and, thanks for having me on, Tina. But, I had to deal with, worthiness crap. Like, that's such a garbage concept, that I'm worthy or deserving, or just all these mind viruses that are running around you. You can't forgive yourself. You can't forgive others. You have a deservingness, worthiness issue. So once you get your attitude straight around money, you figure out that you're a child of God. You deserve, you're worthy. Once you forgive these people, once you just let go of all these freaking energy leaks that's stopping you from being wealthy, it's amazing. So anyway, I'm going on a little bit of a rant there, but I just want to wake people up, because they should be prosperous. And the only reason they're not prosperous is them.
When you said the only reason why they are not prosperous is because of them, which means you the person, okay? And so one thing that I'm hearing that is just pretty much the same across the board with you, with all your experiences and your growth, is because you took responsibility and you really went into those deep places that really hurt. I mean, who want to deal with a relationship that did not work out, and then you get a constant reminder every month when you have to pay somebody $5,200, regardless if it's a man or a woman? Who really want to deal with that, right? And you want to move on, regardless. And so for you to be able to shift your mind, and then you have your mentors and ones listening to you saying you're going to have to forgive. You got to let that go. You're going to have to really understand what worthy means and all of this. So the fact that I'm hearing all of your current success is really based upon not only your belief in God, but for you just undumping all the garbage in your life. I feel like we have all this garbage of past traumas, past relationships, past financial, whatever the case may be. And we hold on to it thinking that somehow it defines us. And so I'm seeing, and I'm so encouraged seeing you, that this was not the way that you was raised to have this financial stability. But yeah, you changed your life. So it shows that we have the power within ourselves to be able to change the outcome that we want to have. And so when you decide to go into, because it's a lot of different arenas that you could have went into in entrepreneurship, it's very vast. And you decide to go into finances. What made you decide to not only, we know what made you decide to go there, but what made you decide to stay in the financial industry? Because some people change. They're like, okay, I did this, I conquered this, I mastered this, let me just move on. What made you decide to stay in such a complex arena of finances?
Well, it's just, we don't learn this stuff. I mean, we don't learn it in school. I mean, the United States is one of the worst in the world on financial literacy. And it's just, I grew up in financial stress. It sucks. I freaking hate it. Like, it's just, I hate, I talk about in the book, when we kind of finally crossed over, Tina, and, we hadn't arrived yet, but we got this big paycheck, and, we didn't need to spend it on anything. Like, we could save all of it, right? And we're still in our rented home, right? We don't have stuff and all that. And I woke up in the middle of the night. It was 3 a.m. And I raised up, and that had happened a lot in my life. And it was normally like fear, worry, doubt, horrible feelings. But this time it was like I woke up and I was just like, relief. Right? That original feeling that my wife and I said we wanted. And it was one of the, I can still close my eyes, I can still see the room, and it was like, holy shit, like that was unbelievable.
Yeah.
And right then and there, I'm like, God, I'm so glad I didn't quit on myself. Right? Like, I'm so glad I didn't quit on myself. Like, I'm so glad I persevered, right? Because your ego's not your amigo and wants you to, like, you know, no, I mean, you get comfortable being broke. It's ridiculous, right? and just that relief. And then I'm like, you know what? I want to teach as many people to have that, because it's one of the most powerful feelings I've ever had in my life. And one of the reasons why you want to get financially free is you don't have to freaking think about it. You have to manage your money and pay attention, but you can help so many people, and you're not consumed with all these fear, worries, and doubts, and financial stress. It just sucks, you know? So it's a big purpose in my life, is to help as many people as I can have that feeling.
I love it. It's because you're right. It's those early AM times people wake up. I used to wake up with good ideas, like something that I was working on, and my brain is crystal clear in the wee hours of the morning. And I know I need to move, do whatever it is I need to do. But you mentioned how that was moments where you felt the anxiety and the pressure, and to see how it transitioned from anxiety and tension, panic, worry, to now you and your wife, by strategically mapping out and planning after you had that clarity and everything was clear, and then you wrote it out and then you executed. Now you're waking up relieved and free. Now you have what your mentor taught you, brought you to, that financial freedom. And what I love about what you did after you finally reached that financial freedom status for yourself as an individual, and also what your wife initially said she wanted was $100,000, you didn't stop. You kept going, and then you turned around and said, hey, I need to teach other people how to do this. Because I want everyone to, well, not everyone, but the people who lock arms with you to be able to feel this feeling of relief, to feel this feeling of no worry. I mean, wow, that is powerful to see how you transition from the beginning all the way up to now, showing that you don't have to be raised to understand this. You can teach yourself, shift your attitude, your mindset, like you said with that quote, and get yourself or have yourself in the lifestyle or the life that you want. So for entrepreneurs, because you speak about your wife a lot, that's another thing that I really appreciate. You speak about her quite a bit, because you don't hear about too many couples that are successfully navigating this terrain of entrepreneurship. Usually they say entrepreneurship break up marriages, yada, yada, yada. So what things that you guys do, is there anything particular that you do? I know you do business, but is there anything on a relationship base that you would say that could be beneficial for ones who are climbing, scaling up, to keep their relationship still intact? I know you may not be a relationship coach, but it's something that you guys doing that is keeping it together.
Yeah. I mean, you know, in the back of our book, Couples Money, I mean, we have the 12 keys for financially harmonious couples, right? And this is from my wife's research and, you know, interviewing some pretty amazing rock star couples. And they didn't just have financial wealth, they had relationship wealth, kids, spiritual health, like they were the full package of wealth. But number one is they are and they feel like they're on the same page. And so that's huge. We're on the same page. I was talking to a great entrepreneur, you know, wife is stability and he's entrepreneur, crazy guy. But he was falling into the traps I was, right? Which is like, you know, one day I'll be successful. That's one of the most vicious mind viruses that exists in being an entrepreneur. And my coach is like, why aren't you successful now? Right? But he's living this one day I'll make the money. One day. Now you got to give 5 years or whatever whatever you believe. 3 years, 1 year, 5 years, whatever, to be successful, whatever that is. So it does take time, right? And you need to give it time. But he's not making it happen, and she's frustrated. And they have a great marriage, but it's eroding, and it's because they're not on the same page. And so they're hiring me to get them on the same page, right? And kind of bridge that gap. So we don't always agree. She doesn't always like me, but she loves me. And but we're always on the same page. We're always on the same page about the goals, the clarity. We are clear as a couple about where we're going. And we communicate every week about it. Right? Because how do you build a relationship? Communication. How do you change your life? Schedule it.
Wow, you're on the same page. And we don't even think about that. You're on the same page, meaning you're going the same direction. So.
Yeah, couples are like this, Tina, like, yeah, you do this, you change this, you this, and we're like, we did that. And finally, like, nope, let's just do this.
Wow.
Let's just move forward together, shoulder to shoulder. We're trying to fix each other.
Woo, you said a mouthful there. Stop trying to fix each other. That's a mouthful right there. You might need to write something on LinkedIn about that. But that, because most of the time, you as a couple, if you have one that's an entrepreneur and one that is a little bit more serious than the other, sometimes their relationship crumble. And so having some tips or some strategies that can help forge that bond of marriage more stronger by understanding and respecting each other and working side by side versus face to face like you sizing off in a boxing match. That is simple, but yet, and I didn't even think about it, but that's all that you need. So that is some good advice or some good tips and strategies for the marriage couple. And if you are single, take what it is that you can take from this conversation and adapt it to you being a single person. So moving on into, I would like to talk about one thing, because you talked a lot about the, I would say the misconceptions or the different things that people will say about money, the different things people think about money. So what would you say is the most common financial misconception or mistake that most people encounter when they're dealing with finances, whether it's on a personal or whether it's entrepreneurship, or it can be a merge of both?
Like, what causes their financial success or not? Like, what would be one thing? Respect for money. It's, yeah, I mean, my coach is like, money's a relationship.
I thought of it like that.
Right? And we can tell how functional it is based on your results. So, and Marlo, when she interviewed yeah, by the way, I mean, I talk about my wife all the time, because none of this happens without her. Like, zero nada, right? Like, nothing. So she's, huge. But she's like, all these people I've interviewed, they all respect money. Like, they would never just say, oh, it's just $5. Oh, it's just $1. Oh, it's just $5. I mean, think about your number one relationship in your life. Would you just say, oh, it's just my husband?
No.
Oh, it's just my wife, right? Like, how good's that relationship? So that I didn't have it. I was like, oh, it's $100. Oh, it's just right. Oh, it's okay. I'll just make more. Which is a ginormous mind ride. I'm talking to a company tomorrow on, oh, I'll just make more. So you just do stupid ass things with your money. You don't respect money because you'll just make more. You'll never do it. And then I think in conjunction with that, it's small things care for, right? It's it was a game-changing moment for me. I'm reading, I'm figuring this out. I'm all in, line in the sand moment. We'll never be back here. I'm pouring myself into this thing, and I'm reading Secrets of a Millionaire Mind by T. Harv Eker. And I'd read it dozens of times, and then this phrase jumped off the page. Until you start managing the money that you have now well, you won't see anymore. And I was like, holy crap. And then I pulled out a calculator, and I realized, I'm an entrepreneur, so I take my clients out for happy hour, and it's a business deduction. You know how stupid that is? I'm gonna spend $1 to save 30 cents. Now, I'm not saying you don't treat your clients. I'm not saying that. But I had all these business expenses. It was Chris and Marlo Inc. I mean, hundreds of thousands of just stupid things that added no value to my client's life or mine. And I'm doing it under the guise of a business expense. And so literally I'm like spending, so I just found a financial calculator. I'm like, I'm blowing a couple grand a month. What if I didn't blow that and I saved it? And that compounding of, 6, 7, 8% over 30 years. I mean, it was astronomical. And so I quit doing happy hours. I had coffees instead. I quit going out to lunch. I just like, we went on a cash diet as a couple. Like, we're going to eat everything that's in the house. We're not eating out, right? We're just going to see, are we more miserable if we don't eat out and blow all this freaking money? It's just crap that brings no value to our life. I read a book called Money in Your Life. I don't know if you've ever heard of that book, Money in Your Life by Vicki Robin. The best definition of money ever. Money is something you exchange your life energy for. So if you're exchanging your life energy to make a bunch of money and then you're blowing it on crap that brings no value to your life, was it worth it? So it's just all that respect for money, small things cared for. Then once we started handling the small stuff and saving money and respecting it and tithing and doing all these cool things, guess what happened? God's like, I can trust you with more. So guess what happened? Bigger and better clients started showing up. Bigger and better opportunities started showing up. Because we could be trusted with small things.
Yeah. Scripture say you have to be faithful in what is least before you can be in much. So that makes sense. Hearing all of that is something. And also helping with that misconception of what we have around money. And again, it goes all into the mind. And so it goes right back to that mindset. And so right now what we're going to do is I have really thoroughly enjoyed this conversation with you, but we may have some people that want to start or join or learn more about finances. So what advice would you give to someone who may be aspiring to become a financial or going to be a financial entrepreneur, I should say? What are something that you would say they would need in order to build a successful business?
I mean, it's you have to be persistent. Like, it's just, you have to persist, right? And in my book, I have a chapter called "Quitter's Relief is a Lie." And it's this mindset that we have is when we start bumping up against our limiting beliefs and our limits of how successful we are, we want to pull back. And we think that when things start getting tough, this, like, if I just quit, I'll feel this temporary relief. But it's a lie. Because you will feel that relief just like a sugar high, but then there's going to be a massive crash. And there's going to be a crash in confidence. There's going to be a crash in all sorts of things. So, yeah, I mean, entrepreneur, financial services entrepreneur, you got to persist. It's a word I use a lot. Some people don't like it, but you got to get obsessed. You got to be obsessed. And middle class America doesn't like the word obsessed, but there's good obsessions. winning as an entrepreneur and winning for your family, winning financially for your family and for you is a good obsession to have. So when you're obsessed and you're all in and you persist, it'll happen. You will get the skills necessary to win.
So, Chris, is there anything that you want to share with anything else you would like to share with our listening and viewing audience? Okay.
There's no happy ending to an unhappy journey. So, embrace the process, love the process, right? Of getting better. A life spent seeking, this is Jeff Shore, it's one of my favorite quotes, it's in my book. Life spent seeking comfort results in an entirely uncomfortable existence. Comfort is not your friend, right? You got to be intentional about growing you. I mean, I'm more psycho than ever about getting better and growing because there's more levels, there's new levels. There's no end to it. But it's a phenomenal journey and it's worthy of your focus.
Chris, I would like to thank you personally for being a featured guest on the Tina Ramsey Show and also being very transparent and sharing your journey from the beginning all the way up to now and what it looked like and how it felt, because you're right, we feel as human beings. And so how it felt for you and how when you had that moment where you were like, okay, enough is enough. I'm accountable. It's not my ex-wife. It's not this person, that person. It is Chris, and I am going to fix Chris. And now I'm moving forward. And you did not look back. You did not look back. And it's just refreshing to see how you was able to transition from financial struggle to financial success. And this is going to give a lot of people that inspiration to be able to execute. The goal is for them to be able to hear this, see this, learn it, get in contact, and execute so they can make whatever their dreams come true. So thank you so much for coming on and being a featured guest of the Tina Ramsey Show. And you can hold tight backstage and I'll be with you guys in a moment. I'll be with you in a moment, okay? You guys, wasn't Chris amazing? We're going to have his information in the description of this video, depending upon which platform and all. It's going to be up here, down here, to the left, to the right. Just look for it so that you can click and be able to connect with Chris on a different level. He was absolutely amazing. So the goal is for this episode to be able to pull these tips and strategies in order to help you grow as an entrepreneur, because we are very intentional on bringing 6 to 8 figure earners on, letting you understand what type of mindset it takes for you to truly level up and stay growing and not stop. Okay. And so many of you want to know how you can support our growing show. We're currently in season 11 of our show, thanks to all of you. So if you would like to support the Tina Ramsey Show by becoming a sponsor of our show, we would greatly appreciate it. Or you can just scan the QR codes and everything like that, and you can support our show. And if you have a commercial or anything that you would like for us to share, CTR Media Network has opportunities that you can share your commercial, or you can bring your live TV show that you may be streaming on social media, or you may want to become a podcaster. Either or, they are currently now accepting new podcasters. I want to thank you guys for being with us all these years, and now we're in season 11 thanks to all of you. We have had the honor of interviewing some of the most amazing standout entrepreneurs and influencers who are truly making a positive impact in the world. And you know what we're going to say. It's time for you to come share, shine, and grow on the Tina Ramsey Show. See you next week, same time, same place. Have a great day.
Well, you have any closing remarks before we head out?
Y'all, please support the movement of CTR Media Network. I'm telling you, being a part of this amazing media family, I can't go wrong, right? They have the support. They support us in all that we do. When we have questions, they take the time out to advise and mentor. So definitely check out the different plethora of shows that are on the network. I promise you, and I'm not saying this because I'm part of the family, but I promise you, you will be uplifted, inspired, educated, motivated, all the good stuff that we all need to carry ourselves out through the day. So definitely go check it out, y'all.
Awesome. I definitely appreciate it. We definitely appreciate it.
All right, so at this time, we are welcoming author, podcast business coach, podcast influencer, Coach Tina Ramsey.
What up, family? CTR Media Network. Yeah. Best in the biz. Yeah. Join the team. CTR is who we are, the media network, that's the best by far. Whether you listen at your home, at your job, in your car, come get the information that's needed above par. Never lasting, motivational podcasting, giving you the answers to the questions that you're asking. Serious talks and topics, how to come up and profit, how to better yourself, your health is here, we got it. Reaching 350 million, they tuning in. We in 50 different countries, we all can. And like-minded, find your purpose and your assignment. Come get your fix, your feel, your mental alignment. Get active and speak to the masses. Build your influence, all levels and all classes. Now you know you can monetize and grow. CTR Media Network, start the show. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network. CTR is who we are, the media network, that's the best by far, you know. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network. Yourself, your health is here, we got it. Reaching 350 million, they tuning in. We in 50 different countries, we all can. And like-minded, find your purpose and your assignment. Come get your fix, your feel, your mental alignment. Get active and speak to the masses. Build your influence, all levels and all classes. Now you know you can monetize and grow. CTR Media Network, start the show. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network. CTR is who we are, the media network, that's the best by far, you know. CTR Media Network. CTR Media Network.